This is Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl, Junior Edition. Now from the Collins Aerospace Studio at the Nordloff Center in downtown Rockford, here's your host, Eric Wilson.
We are moving right along in our Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl Junior Edition, second weekend of July, and we've got a great game for you. Last week, you saw a fantastic game, too. Holy Family beat North Boone with one of the highest point totals of the season, north of 400 points. Both of these teams here today are capable of doing that. First, let's welcome the Marshall Mustangs. This is the third time in 3 years the Mustangs have been part of our tournament, so they've been here since day one for our junior edition. They won the inaugural junior edition, and then they made it to the third round last season, where they fell to the eventual champions, Keith Country Day. Marshall trying to redeem that, but they have to win here first today. Sophia is their captain. Introduce us to your starting lineup, Sophia.
My name is Sophia, and to my right I have Michael. To my near left I have Leif, and to my far left,
You know what? We're watching on camera. This is your left, right? As we're watching?
Okay.
Yeah, so
And
who's all the way on the left there?
to my far left I have Benji.
Perfect. Nice job, Sophia. See, that's the hardest part of the whole game for you. Everything else is going to be a breeze. Welcome to the Marshall Mustangs. Also, let's give a nice round of applause for the Willowbrook Wolverines. This is Willowbrook's first time playing our tournament, and they made a splash. In fact, you may have seen their very first game, their debut. They put up an impressive point total against Lena Winslow, capable of doing that again. Lauren led the way last time. Lauren is their captain. Introduce us to your starting lineup, Lauren.
My far left is Colin, and my left Aiden, my right Leaf.
All right, ready to go. Shall we play a game? We call it Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl. Our first round is a buzz-in, so hands on your buzzers, 10 points per question. Two most important rules: wait for me to call your name, say your answer loudly and clearly. Good luck. Here we go. The fundamental theorem of arithmetic explains how to break positive integers down into what numbers, whose only factors are themselves and one, and Sophia.
Prime.
That's right, and they're thus different from composite numbers. What Romance language added words to English, including beef and filet, during the Norman conquest? Benji.
French.
Oui. 10 points. Sorry, that's all the French I know. Oui is yes for the people who just giggled at that one. Sorry, that was a hilarious joke. I'm sorry. Marshall, that's 2 in a row for you. What collection of folk stories narrated by the fictional Queen Scheherazade describes the adventures of Sinbad the Sailor, Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves? Sophia.
Arabian Nights.
That is correct. We'll take that. And Aladdin, 3 in a row. The Tuareg people are based in what desert, which is bordered by a grassland called the Sahel and is
Sahara.
Sophia.
Sahara.
That's correct. The largest hot desert in Africa. Name the 2023 video game in which the player fights the forgetting by working with characters like Remy, Merlin, and Goofy to rebuild the title Disney-themed town. Leaf.
Dreamlight Valley.
That is correct. Charges of cross-dressing and hearing the voices of saints were used to condemn what woman who was Benji?
Joan of Arc.
Benji?
Joan of Arc.
That is correct. Burned at the stake in 1431. What weather phenomenon is measured with the enhanced Fujita scale? Sophia.
Tornadoes.
That's right. Indicated on a radar by a hook echo is a fast-rotating funnel cloud of air. Candace King is so proud of you right now. Name the human organ that can experience encephalopathy and contains the prefrontal cortex. Lauren.
Brain.
That's right, which controls intentional actions and thoughts. Willowbrook's first points this game. In what novel is Myrtle Wilson killed by a car driven by Daisy Buchanan? Sophia.
The Great Gatsby.
That's right. Narrated by Nick Carraway, written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. The 2023 ceremony for what awards recognized Jamie Lee Curtis and Ke Huy Leif?
The Oscars.
That's right, as Best Supporting Actors in the film Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Johann Strauss is called the king of what type of dance music popular in 18th century Poland, which includes the beautiful Blue Danube? Leif?
Polka.
Incorrect. Willowbrook, you could take these points. Lauren?
Line dance.
Incorrect. The Blue Danube is a waltz. Crater Lake is in what western U.S. state? Home to the cities of Corvallis, Eugene, Salem, and Sophia.
Oregon.
That's correct. And Portland, along Interstate 5 between California and Washington. Marshall's in triple digits. What element can bond with 4 hydrogens to form methane, a simple organic molecule? Benji.
Sulfur.
Incorrect. I'll finish for Willowbrook. This element has atomic number 6 and symbol C. Lauren.
Carbon.
That is right. That symbol C was a good clue. What U.S. president signed the Alien and Sedition Acts, enraging the opposing Democratic Republicans, including this man's successor as president, Thomas Jefferson? Aiden.
John Adams.
That is correct. Our number 2 president. What painting, whose 4th version was made for the series The Frieze of Life, shows a swirling orange sky over a wide-mouthed figure? Sophia.
The Scream.
That is correct. It was created by Edvard Munch. And that is our last question. That's how we end the round. So both of our teams off to a solid start. Marshall a little bit ahead of schedule, 110 points. Willowbrook's got 30, so we've got an 80-point spread. But 3 rounds of this game are left to play. Volleyball's next. We are about to start our volleyball round here in Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl, our junior edition. We've had a shift change over at Marshall. Lots of familiar faces over there. We'll see them in just a second. But first, a very special thank you to our judge today. Dan Ross is the president of the Community Foundation of Northern Illinois. He is here supporting us here as our judge, making sure that things go right. And I don't screw anything up, which, depending on the day, is easier said than done. But also, the Community Foundation does such great things for our area, and we like to give them a little bit of attention anytime we can. So, Dan, thanks for being here, and we appreciate your time. All right, our volleyball round is a conferring round. Work as a team, but the answers have to come from the captains after the shift change at Marshall. That is Wyatt. It's also Lauren still at Willowbrook. And our first volleyball question goes to Marshall. Wyatt, are you ready?
Yes.
Here it comes. In a 2023 promotion for Diablo 4, gamers could get beta codes for the game by purchasing sandwiches from what fast food chain that once promoted a game console that could keep chicken warm?
Subway?
Incorrect. Thought the chicken clue would have helped. KFC or Kentucky Fried Chicken. That would have been a finger-licking good answer, wouldn't it? Parents, that was for you. Willowbrook, your first question of the round now. What quantity is released in exothermic reactions and is described as absolute zero at a measure of 0 Kelvin?
That'd be heat. Absolute zero. Heat.
We needed temperature. Over to Marshall. Name the holiday that follows Holy Week and is sometimes called Pascha. This Christian holiday falls 1 week after Palm Sunday.
Lent?
It's Easter. The week after Palm Sunday is Easter Sunday. Back to Willowbrook. At Appomattox Courthouse in 1865, what Confederate general surrendered the Army of Northern Virginia to Ulysses S. Grant, ending the Civil War?
Lee.
Yes, Robert E. Lee. First points of the round go to Willowbrook. Back to Marshall. The term gymnosperm describes plants in which what structures are naked, meaning they are not produced in a plant ovary?
Egg?
Incorrect. Seed. Oh my God. Back to Willowbrook. Name the Barbadian singer who performed her songs Diamonds, We Found Love, and Umbrella on suspended platforms during a 2023 halftime show.
Rihanna.
That's correct. Even without the Ella. Back to Marshall. What city's Great Hall of the People hosted a 2022 National Congress where Xi Jinping was reelected and was where the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests took place outside the Forbidden City?
China.
We needed the city. The city was Beijing. Back to Willowbrook. Subtraction does not have what property in which the order of the items does not matter? An example shows that 3 plus 4 equals 4 plus 3.
Commutative.
Commutative is correct. Back to Marshall. In a poem by William Wordsworth, the speaker finds a host of golden daffodils while wandering lonely as one of these things that floats on high o'er vales and hills.
Cloud.
Yes, the poem is I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. Back to Willowbrook. Name the first section of the Divine Comedy whose author Dante Alighieri describes being led through the circles of hell by the poet Virgil.
No answer.
That first section is Inferno. And that's how we end the round. Close the gap a little bit. Willowbrook's up to 60. Marshall still ahead by 60 points with 120. We'll take a halftime break here, we call it, with the Bergstrom bonus question. You'll see it first. Our contestants get it right after this break.
Back in February, who became the NBA's all-time leading scorer when he surpassed fellow Los Angeles Lakers legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Here is our scoring situation before we head into the Bergstrom bonus question. Marshall has doubled up Willowbrook right now, but we still have a lot of game to play. 120 for Marshall, 60 for Willowbrook. Scores won't change with this question, but your bellies will be full, maybe, because it's pizza and pasta from Lino's. That's the Bergstrom bonus question. That's what's on the line for the question. It's a buzz-in, so hands on your buzzers. Contestants, let me know if you know the answer to this. Back in February, who became the NBA's all-time leading scorer when Leaf.
LeBron James.
That is right. He surpassed fellow LA Laker legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And parents, if you want to feel old, remember the decision when he left Cleveland for Miami? That was 13 years ago this weekend. All right, let's take a break and then we'll change those scores with our Nika IBEW Lightning Round. Lots of action happening there, and it's coming up right after this. All right, we are halfway through our game, and the Nika IBEW Lightning Round is super fast. You blink and you might miss it. And scores could change very quickly, too. In fact, if you run a category, it's worth 100 points. Because of the coin flip, Lauren and Willowbrook get first choice. So these are your three categories, Lauren. American cities, classical music nicknames, or movies with remakes?
Cities.
All right, that was quick. Seemed like that was a fast decision. Name the following U.S. cities. Short and sweet. That's how, that's as simple as we can get for this question or this category. You'll have 60 seconds to go through them. And then Jimmy, who's the captain now for Marshall, you and the team will have 30 seconds to do whatever they don't get to in those first 60. Advice for both teams, you can pass. Remember, you have that option. Lauren, are you ready for your first one? Here we go. Name the following U.S. cities. Self-proclaimed weird capital city of Texas.
Austin.
Correct. Capital of Nebraska, named for a U.S.
Lincoln.
president. Correct. Big Ten college town and capital of Wisconsin.
Madison.
Correct. Home of The Ohio State University.
Cleveland.
Incorrect. Second most populous city of Pennsylvania, behind Philadelphia.
Pittsburgh.
Correct. Largest city by area in Florida, named in honor of a U.S. president.
Jacksonville.
Correct. First permanent European settlement in Virginia, developed by John Rolfe and John Smith.
Jamestown.
Correct. State capital city named for a German statesman.
Pass.
City where the shelling of Fort McHenry inspired the Star-Spangled Banner.
Pass.
Tiny New York town named for explorer Zebulon, who also names a peak in the Rockies.
Pass.
State capital city named for a German statesman. And that's all of our time. So you added 6 to your score. You tied it up. We're now at 120 apiece. Jimmy, though, you have 30 seconds to get to the 4 that are still left on the board, and if you're watching closely, you may be able to blaze through these. Who knows? You ready for the first one, Jimmy? Name the following U.S. cities. Home of The Ohio State University.
Columbus.
That's correct. State capital city named for a German statesman.
Anybody have any ideas? Pass.
City where the shelling of Fort McHenry inspired the Star-Spangled Banner.
Yorktown, maybe? Yeah. Yorktown?
Incorrect. Tiny New York town named for explorer Zebulon, who also names a peak in the Rockies.
Buffalo?
Incorrect. State capital city named for a German statesman.
Name German states. Helena?
Incorrect. You added 1, so you're up by 10 right now. There's 3 left that no one got. Here they are. That state capital city named for a German statesman is the capital of North Dakota, Bismarck, North Dakota. First German chancellor in the late 19th century. The city where the shelling of Fort McHenry inspired the Star-Spangled Banner was in Baltimore. And the New York town named for the explorer Zebulon, who also names a peak in the Rockies, that is Pikes Peak, or Pike, New York. Pike is what we needed. So 1 category down, 2 left to pick from for you, Jimmy. Those are classical music nicknames or movies with remakes.
Remakes.
Okay. 9 of the 10 top grossing films in the US in 2022 were sequels. The other one was a reboot. I'll give you the subtitle of a film and or some other clues. You give the main title of the franchise. I hope that's clear enough. Same rules apply for the clock for you and for Willowbrook. 60 seconds is up. Are you ready for your first one, Jimmy? 9 of the 10 top grossing films in 2022 were sequels. I'll give you the subtitle of a film and or some clues. You give me the main title of the franchise. Here we go. The Way of Water, which grossed over $2 billion.
Avatar.
Correct. Wakanda Forever.
Black Panther.
Correct. In the Multiverse of Madness.
Doctor Strange.
Correct. Love and Thunder.
Thor.
Correct. Sequel with no subtitle that stars Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Correct. The Last Wish, produced by DreamWorks.
Puss in Boots.
Correct. Maverick, in which Tom Cruise does some of his own flying.
Top Gun.
Correct. Dominion, featuring a raptor handler played by Chris Pratt.
Jurassic World.
Correct. The Rise of Gru.
Minions.
Correct. Reboot with no subtitle, starring Robert Pattinson instead of Ben Affleck.
I don't know. What has sequels?
You blazed through that, and then that time that was left, there seemed like a whole bunch of time left there. It seemed like an eternity. So you got 9 of them right. That's a pretty solid lightning round. 220 is your total right now. You could close the gap a little bit, Lauren, if you know this last one. You've got 30 seconds. Take all the time, or just answer, and we can move on. Are you ready? Subtitle of a film and or some clues. Give me the main title of the franchise. Here we go. Reboot with no subtitle, starring Robert Pattinson instead of Ben Affleck.
Batman.
Yes, that is correct. You said it with a little bit of apprehension in your voice, but that was right on the money. So we cleared that category, which doesn't happen all that often. Congratulations, nice job to both teams. Here's where our scores sit right now. It's a 90-point swing. Marshall has 220, Willowbrook has 130, and we'll have our final challenge for you right after this break. A seat in the Final Four is on the line. One of these two teams will go there. We'll see how these scores end up. It doesn't look like that close of a game, but 90 points isn't a whole lot when each question is worth 20. And that's our situation here for the final challenge. It's a buzz-in, so hands on your buzzers, contestants. Remember the 2 most important rules. Wait for me to call your name before you give an answer, and then say your answer loudly and clearly. Good luck. Deep breath. Here we go. What island, where a 2010 volcano majorly disrupted air travel to Europe, gets more than a quarter of its energy from geothermal sources? And Benji.
Iceland.
That is right, and has its capital at Reykjavik. What Egyptian deity worked with her sister Nephthys to reassemble the body of her brother and husband, Osiris? Jimmy.
Bastet.
Incorrect. Willowbrook, you could take these points. Lauren.
Ra.
Incorrect. It was the goddess Isis. Catherine Parr was the widow of what man who also wed Anne Boleyn and Catherine Sophia?
Henry.
Can you be more specific?
The 8th.
That is correct, serving as a 16th century Tudor king of England. In which Shakespeare play does a group of weird sisters convince the... Jimmy.
Macbeth.
That's right, the Thane of Cawdor to murder Duncan to become the king of Scotland. What national tournament uses Dayton as the host city of the Final Four each year? Houston hosted this year's Final Four. Benji.
March Madness.
That is correct. 3 in a row. George Acerot and Lewis Powell were recruited by what man who shouted "Sic Semper Tyrannis" after Aden?
John Wilkes Booth.
That is correct, after leaping out of the presidential box, having shot Abraham Lincoln. What American poet described the shores of Gitchigumi in the poem The Song of Hiawatha and described a system of lamp signals in the poem Paul Revere's Ride? Lauren.
Emily Dickens.
Incorrect. Marshall, you could take these points. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Longfellow.
That is correct. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. John Wesley Powell explored what Western American river, which carved out Jimmy?
Oregon River.
Incorrect. I'll finish for Willowbrook. Which carved out the Grand Canyon in Arizona? Leaf.
Colorado River.
Colorado River, right? What American artist organized the Exploding Plastic Inevitable events? Jimmy.
Warhol.
That's correct. Connected to his studio, The Factory. What planet contains the solar system's largest volcano called Aiden?
Mars.
That's right. Olympus Mons, orbited by the moons Phobos and Deimos. What class of vertebrates includes Tuatara, which are endemic to New Zealand and are sometimes called living fossils, as well as more common lizards and snakes? Lauren.
Amphibians.
Incorrect. Marshall? Jimmy.
Reptile.
Those are reptiles. What word refers to mathematical relations in which each input has exactly one output? Lauren.
Functions.
Functions is correct. What specific animal titles an autobiography and poem by Maya Angelou in which, Jimmy?
Bird.
Can you be more specific?
Caged bird.
Caged bird, that is correct. And that's the end of our game. Marshall pulled away in that final round. Congratulations. You are a step closer to retaking the title. You're also the first team in the Final Four. Also, Willowbrook, congratulations are in order too, because you made it to the second round, which isn't easy to do, and you played a fantastic game. How many of you are 8th graders? So that means we hope to see you in our high school tournament sometime soon. And Leaf and Eli, next year in our juniors tournament, please. He says desperately. I get zero reaction from Leaf, and Eli's like, oh, okay, that's par for the course. But you played a great game. I know you'd rather win, and that's probably what's going on here. But it's fun to watch you play. And hope you had some fun watching. You can catch another game next weekend of Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl's Junior Edition. We'll see you then.